And good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I know it takes a while for people to log on when we first go live, so I always like to blither and blather. And of course, most of you don't know what I mean when I say blither and blather. If you're British, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I like to just keep going for a little bit, give people a chance to get on, because anyway, I think I've given everybody enough time. So good morning, good morning, good morning. Today is the 24th of March 2022. Golly, how did we get to 2022? Every time we tack on another year, we get another year older, don't we? And I just feel as if I'm going backwards rather than forwards, because I don't feel like I'm getting older, except occasionally when I get out of bed, I can't stand up straight. But that was going on with me when I was in my 40s, 30s and 40s, because of all my kidney stuff. So life hasn't really changed in that respect. And I feel very fortunate that, when I see people struggling to walk, and I see people struggling to get up out of a chair, which I do from time to time when my back goes out, of course. But, I think that there are so many joys. People are now, isn't this great? People are now, don't shoot me when I say this, please. People are now talking about COVID like it's, well, when COVID happened, rather than how long is it going to last and how much longer are we going to be in this situation. People are now coming to terms with the fact that yes, it is around, but it's manageable. We are managing it. People are not wearing their masks as much, which is wonderful, because when people are wearing masks, unless you're looking really closely, you can't see if they're smiling or not. You can't smile at anybody because they won't be able to see you smile. So things are, I feel, in my mind, things are looking up. And I had my first flower on my gardenia bushes. Today it's raining, but every day for the last 2 weeks now, I've been watching closely. I've been watching my gardenias, because I have several bushes of gardenias, and they are laden, and I mean laden with buds. And I'm so excited because, they're on the pathway as I sort of come out of the house, and they're lining the pathway. And when they flower, oh gosh, the perfume will be incredible, absolutely incredible. And this is really the first time that, because last year, they were in last year, but they were very new. They were babies, and they had lots of buds, but all the buds fell off. They sort of rotted off the stem. I think probably we might have had too much rain, or it was too moist. But anyway, they are doing fabulously. And so keep watching, because we're going to be showing some photos. I'm going to be sending you some photos of the gardenias when they come out. I also, in my garden, why are we talking about gardening? Because I'm blathering on here, blither blather. I'm blathering on until everybody gets on before we start the show proper. Also, at the back of the house, and by the pool, when you go out by the pool and you sit out by the pool, we have the most fabulous scent coming over, because I have a big hedge of evergreen jasmine. I think then, well, they were, and the evergreen jasmine it's a tiny flower. It's a beautiful flower, absolutely fabulous, white, and there's a whole hedge sort of gets covered in this mass of white flowers. But what is unbelievably wonderful is the scent. The wind wafts, and you're sitting out by the pool, and you get this incredible, beautiful perfume. And it's not the kind that makes you sneeze. It's not the kind that makes your eyes itch. Even if you are sensitive to perfumes, as I know some of you are, it doesn't do any of that. It's just you get this feeling of just being just in a wonderful garden, a beautiful scented garden. So I've got my gardenias at the front here, and I've got my jasmine at the back, and boy, oh boy, I just feel, And funnily, I'm not a lover of white flowers because I hate when they start to die off and then they go brown. But both of these are white flowers and I love them, love them, love them. So good morning, everybody. Before we begin our show proper, I'd like to say good morning to Gregel, who as always is standing to my right side. Excuse me. And I would also like to say good morning to Chris. I don't know why I'm choking up a bit. I'd like to say good morning to Chris. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Rosemary. I know we've got a bunch of people in the chat room who are talking about their jasmine plants and wondering when they're going to flower. They haven't flowered yet, etc. So I think they're a little bit envious.
Well, of course, we're in Florida. They are not flowering now, but anytime now, sort of anytime from April into May, and then the flowers last quite a long time actually. And so so that's coming up. And every year with my jasmine, I say I'm going to root some jasmine. I'm going to take some cuttings and root them, and I haven't done it. And actually, this year I am determined to root my jasmine. It's very simple, very easy to root it, and just stick it in the ground, and it should grow very nicely. Anyway, so I'll let you know what I'm doing with that and how I'm doing that. You see, now you all know that I cook. You all know that I. What else do I do? What else? Oh,
what
you know
don't
that I
you
knit.
do?
Yeah, as a friend of mine uh, always likes to say, I'm a Renaissance woman. I don't quite know what that means, but I think it means that I tackle, I'll tackle anything and everything. So I cook and I knit. I used to embroider, don't do that anymore, but I loved to do it. And one of these days, I'm going to pull out a piece of embroidery work that I did when I was 18 and 19 years old with my kidney stuff. I had to find things to do. So I did jigsaws and I did embroidery and I did all of that sort of thing. Because when I was long and long ago in my youth there, we didn't have iPads and we didn't have cell phones. We just, we certainly didn't have readers like Kindles and that sort of thing. So so we had to do it, the old-fashioned way. So anyway, so I did all of those things, and what some of you don't know about me is that, especially when I was in England, I was a huge gardener, massive, massive, massive gardener. I loved gardening. Since I've been in America, it's been hard for me because I don't know the climate so well, and I like old-fashioned flowers. I like hollyhocks, and delphiniums are one of my favorites. And I love gladioli are one of my favorites, and I love all of those really, really old-fashioned flowers. And of course, this time of year, get ready, daffodils are going to be popping up any time now, if we're really, really lucky. And my daffodil man has sent me lots of daffodil bulbs, which some are actually peeking through right now. So I love gardening as well. Now, where is this going? Well, let's slow down a bit here. Where are we going? Where we're going with this is, okay, that we see people, we see celebrities, we read books by certain authors, we have an idea of who they are, we have an idea of what they do, and people have an idea of who I am and what I do, but they don't really, unless you're a Kardashian, or unless you're a person who lets somebody into your life every minute of every day. And why would you possibly want to see what's going on in my life every minute of every day? I mean, why would anybody, why would anyone want to share that? But people do. But so unless you're that kind of a person, people get an idea of who you are. And especially with my kind of work, people have let's say they have sometimes some strange ideas. I was telling a story to Chris yesterday of being invited. I was living in England at the time and being invited to California. to join in. It was I think it was a week long or a 2 week long, I don't remember, like a seminar with lots of speakers coming in from all over the world. And for some weird and unaccountable reason, when we arrived, just before we arrived, actually, we found out that they put me down, my job for the 2 weeks, and it was an all expenses paid trip. It was a fabulous trip. And my job was to sit by the pool, and so that any of the members of this conference could come out of the pool at any time and have their palm read or their cards read and hello. And so when they had booked me, that's what they thought I did. So I had to call them up and say, I'm sorry, but you got the wrong person, because I don't know what I do. So I almost didn't go, because there's no way I'm going to sit around the pool and read cards and read palms and so on. And I know some of you are saying, but hold on a minute, don't you do that then? Don't you do that? So I was reminded of that also, because I have lovely neighbors, my wonderful, wonderful neighbors. He has just retired. About 18 months ago, he retired. So I was over there the other day, sitting, chatting to them, having a nice drink with them. And he looked at me and he said, so Rosemary, when are you going to retire? And I looked at him and said, me? And I started laughing. And I said, how about never? And he said, oh, come on. You can't, nobody can keep going forever. And I said, well, this is what will happen. I will retire when, number one, I lose my mind and can't communicate anymore with anybody on this earth plane. I'm sure I'll still be communicating, but you know what I mean? So that, of course, that would stop me. I wouldn't be able to do it then. Or when I die. I have absolutely no intention of retiring. And he was so puzzled by it, and he said, but you work all the time. I mean, surely. And so I thought that, because I know there are a lot of people who really, they know what I do. Yes, I talk to dead people. Yes, of course, that's what I do. But perhaps you don't know why, or you don't understand why I do that. Maybe you think it's just because, hey, well, she's psychic and that's what she does, and you don't think twice about it, or you don't think any further about it. But let me see, I'm trying to think of anybody else who would be in the same situation as me. So maybe a priest, perhaps, or a parson, or somebody who works in the church, or maybe somebody who works with, I don't know, I'm trying to think. Maybe, Chris, while I'm talking, you can think of who else we could liken this thing to. Because, okay, yes, I am a spiritual medium and a healer, but that isn't what I do. Yes, I know. Weird, right? It's who I am. And I will always be that until the day I can't do it anymore for whatever reason. And then when I pass into the spirit world, I'm still going to be that, because it is not what I do, it's who I am. There is let's say a mission. I don't want to make it sound, fancier than it is, but it is a mission. People think that, when they come to see me, and they want to connect with their loved ones in the spirit world, they think that I'm doing that for them. And of course I am, but my main priority is to be the voice of the spirit world, to do it for those people who really need to connect. And recently, in fact, very recently, I had a situation where there was a lady who I'd actually known when she was here on this earth, not that well, but I had known her. And she, in an odd way, I ended up talking to her because she had an issue. She had a problem that she thought that, maybe I could help with. So she was calling on me to help her family with the situation. Uh, I know you all think that it's the other way around. No, we lose someone, so you come to somebody like me to connect with them, but that isn't the way at all. Um, I have a wonderful, wonderful friend of mine who lost his mum. She passed just this last weekend, and so I was talking to him, and of course, you want to know, did I see his mum? Yes, I did. Of course, I did. But um, I said to my friend, I think let's leave it for a little while until you're ready and until she's ready, because she's very emotional right now. And don't forget, yes, you're grieving. We on this earth, yes, of course, we grieve, but we forget that our loved ones in the spirit world are grieving as well, because they're grieving for us. They're grieving for our grief. So people find it hard to understand that it isn't this what I do is not a job. I'm not just going to do it until I retire, because I'm never going to retire. Because as long as those in the spirit world want to talk to me, and as long as we can do it, we're going to keep doing it, even if I'm 101 years old when I finally quit. Uh, and then I only quit if I'm dead. So let's say that this is a vocation. And again, I don't want to make it sound more than it is. I don't want to, dramatize it, but it is a vocation. My job is first and foremost to be the voice of the spirit world, to talk about the things that they want to talk about. I had um, father and daughter moment uh, just a few days ago. Uh, um, I'd met this lady before, the wife of the father and the mother of the daughter. Work that out if you can. And there they were. They sort of had some idea of what it was they wanted to talk about, and I trying to be the, sort of control the thing and sort of get it on track and work in a way that is good for everybody. I'm sort of saying, to the lady in the spirit world, okay, what, let's do this. And I'm saying to the people I'm talking to, okay, let's have your questions. And everything went, let's say pear-shaped, because I wasn't in control. The lovely couple, the father and daughter who I was talking to, they weren't in control, because this wonderful woman came through and she said, okay, enough of this talking and what have you. Let's talk about the baby. And it was decided there and then. And so I look at this, the couple, and I say, she don't want to talk about what you want to talk about right now. She wants to talk about the baby, and they both broke out into big smiles because, yes, you guessed it, there was a baby on the way. So when I'm listening, I'm talking to people in the spirit world. They're the ones who are dictating. Whatever I'm saying comes through them or from them. My responsibility is to make sure that those in the spirit world relay, and unfortunately they have to do it through me, but they relay what it is that they want to say and how they want to say it. And because they have now much more insight into us and they can see what's happening, they can stand back and sort of look and see exactly what's happening throughout our lives. They know what's important to us, and they know, even if we don't know what's important to us, they know what should be important to us. And so that's how this works. So again, I'm going to sort of now leave it open to all of you. I've talked for far too long here. And Chris, maybe you'll have something you want to say, because Chris has been with me for a long time, long time. And so maybe Chris, you from your point of view, if you can explain to people what you see from your point of view. But again, I will say my goal is not to please all of you. My goal, although I hope I do, but my goal is to be the voice of the spirit world. This is my vocation. And it's interesting how other people perceive what I do, and how other people, and we're going to talk about that more on Saturday morning, because I have a lovely story that I want to tell about how people perceive what I do, how people perceive who I am. And often, they perceive me as the entertainer who I'm going to sit there and I'm going to entertain them. Uh, and uh, and no, 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 we don't buy into that. Anyway, that's for Saturday morning. Chris,
Yes. So,
yes?
as you said, I've
Okay.
been with you for a long while, not nearly as long as Kay and the rest over in England, but feel fortunate for the time I have been with you. I think this conversation is really important because we are always getting new people in our chat room, and we love having new people. I know there's somebody who's logged in this morning saying this is their first time. And maybe
Okay.
they've stumbled across one of your YouTube videos, or somebody has told them about you or passed along a book. Rhonda was saying this morning that, let's see, I'll read what she says. She had a very nice thing happen the other day. I check patients in for their appointments, and I always have your book sitting on my desk next to me. I was checking in
Oh,
a young lady, and she spotted your book, Give the Gift of Healing. And she told me her aunt had suggested this book to her and asked how I liked it. Of course, I told her I loved the book and told her of all your books, in particular, The Eagle and the Rose, and then told her how to subscribe to your YouTube channel.
all
So
right.
so we have people who have been with you for a bit. Let's call them your loyal followers here in the chat room on Thursdays and Saturdays and the off the cuffs and some of the webinars. But we have people who are just, maybe becoming aware of the subject. And I think it's important for them to know that you aren't the entertainer, although you are quite entertaining. Um, but I view this really as, I called it this morning, even I see it as a sacred mission, and
And
you're
me too.
calling it a vocation. um and obviously all of our questions are important, and all of our needs and the things that we want to know are important to us so that we can grow as individuals. But it's the combination of the spirit world and us that makes the world go round, right?
Yes. I mean, from the very beginning, and those of you who have read The Eagle and the Rose, which we are in its 25th year of being published, which that 25th year ends May 19th, my birthday. Anyway, that's the official publishing date. Um, uh, in the Eagle and the Rose, it is a really good book. If you don't know much about me, or you don't know much about the work that I do, that is a book to get to start with, because it tells you how I came into this. And there is an amazing story in there of how the spirit world let me know uh, how they feel collectively. And it was described, and if you read it in the book, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's, I think the chapter is called something like The Lady with No Face, or I don't remember now what I called the chapter. I'd have to go back and take a look at it. But anyway, um, they see themselves almost as if they're in an ocean. It's a dark grey ocean. And when those of us who are on this earth, when we, you would say still alive, I think we're all still alive, but when we look for them, or when we don't see them, mostly we don't see them, we don't know that they're there. It's like looking out at a dark ocean where everything is buried. We can't see the universe. We can't see what it's like out there, and this can be extremely frustrating. So that is how the spirit world collectively describe to me how they feel. It's almost like they're drowning in an ocean, And every time they try to come up, for whatever reason, to say hello to us or to let us know that they're there, it's they're pulled back under, because simply because we don't have the sight to be able to see. I look at it, I've got a great analogy that many of you who know me have heard me use so many times. Uh, to me, the spirit world is almost as if you can imagine that they're standing behind this enormous plate glass window. They can see in, we can't see out. They can see in at us, and they can see what we're doing. This show is called The Spirit World Sees All. They do. They see all, and sometimes, in a little bit of a scary way, a good scary way. But so I liken them to sort of standing on the other side of this plate glass window, and they can see us, and they can see our joys, they can see our sorrows, they can see us heading towards that inevitable mistake we're going to make, and they're there. Can you imagine if you were standing looking through a window, right? Sort of, how you see in these oh, crime movies and things, the perpetrator sitting inside the room, and everybody can see outside, can see in, but they can't see out. You might know that somebody's there watching you, but you can't see through that window, right? So imagine if you're that person who's standing at the window, and you are looking at all of those people that you love so much, and you see them doing really dumb things, saying silly things, or conversely, doing great. I mean, when they're doing something that oh God, no, don't do that, don't go, no, don't you, that's the wrong way, you're going the wrong way. You want to shout out and try and stop them or guide them or say no, but you can't, because they can't hear you, because you're behind the window, right? You're behind that plate glass window. And when they are happy and joyful and doing wonderful things and having a good time, you want to say, wonderful, great. You want to let them know that you are part of the joyfulness of their lives, and you can't. So I liken it to standing behind a plate glass window. The spirit world stands behind this plate glass window. They can see in. Sometimes they must be so frustrated with us, because, oh my goodness. And I look at myself, and my job, my part of the work that I do is I'm a vandal. I consider myself to be that vandal who goes around breaking the glass. I'm breaking that glass window. I am separating the separation. I'm separating the barrier. I'm getting rid of the barrier, not just separating. I don't like this separation between, those in the spirit world and us. So let's smash that window, and then let's smash another window, and let's let people in. If they're standing there and they're watching us, they want to be a part of us, and they want to be a part of their lives, of course, don't they? That's why they're standing there. So I'm the vandal. I go around breaking the glass, and I'm thrilled to do it. Sorry, Chris, keep going.
Seems like maybe that's actually what we should be titling this episode. I'm the Vandal. Maybe that'll get some big hits on social media.
Yeah. Is she really a vandal?
Everybody can forward
Wait,
this at the end of the show with that title. She's the Vandal.
wait a minute. Isn't she too old to be a vandal? And the answer to that question is absolutely not.
Hey, you're already wearing your stripes.
Yeah, my prison.
They're not orange, but
is this a glimpse of things to come? Okay. All right. Let's keep going, shall we?
Yeah, Andrew's got a comment/question here. So he says, I watched the one brick exercise. So we know that's the bottom brick that you just did Tuesday, I think that was. So he watched the bottom brick exercise you did with Jen. You both explored some of the possible causes for behavior. Then a mention of 10 minutes reviewing the day and how someone's doing it and how they might consider how they could have done things better. So I might say this could be called a form of cognitive behavior therapy, since I guess it can result in changed behavior. It is my
Yes.
experience that suppressed anger can be tricky to release. Do you see the bottom brick exercise as also allowing the escape of suppressed anger over time?
Oh, Andrew, I love the question, and I love the what you just said. All of the above of what you just said about the bottom brick exercise. That exercise, I've been doing it for so long. I've forgotten even how I started it, when I started it. But absolutely, I remember many years ago, I had one of the top psychiatrists actually in the world, because he went around the world speaking and so on and so forth. And he came to me. Maybe I'll tell that story one day. There's another one. Put that one
I'm
down,
writing
Chris.
it down.
Okay. And he's lovely guy, and he allowed me to share his story. So I actually wrote about it in one of my books, the reason that he came to see me. And I was with this guy because he had so many questions, like you, Andrew. So many questions. I bet I was with him for 5 hours. And at the end of that, he looked at me, and he was very serious, and he said, "So, Rosemary," he said, "where did you study?" And I looked at him. I said, "What?" He said, "Well, obviously you've had some training. You've had psychiatric training. You've had, some sort of, training. I'd love to know, where did you study?" And I said, "Let's call it the School of Life, shall we?" Um, you know, there's there are so many advantages to talking to the spirit world, because they help you, they give you advice, they give you wisdom. Anger, you're right, Andrew. Anger, suppressed anger. Oh my goodness, people, they damage everyone around them, but they also damage themselves, which is, I think, the most important thing. I think the bottom brick exercise is the beginning of people enabling a letting go of, because when you understand something, anger comes a lot of the time comes from, uh, somebody treats you unfairly, they treat you maybe brutally, they treat you maybe meanly, but whatever it is, they treat you unfairly. And so I think the injustice of what happens to us sometimes in our lives, and the injustice of what happens to many kids in their lives, the injustice of being always, the third wheel, or always, I mean, I don't want to bring myself into this, but just an example, the injustice of 4 girls and only 3 get a bike, 4 girls and only 3 get roller skates, that sort of thing. The injustice of those things, I think, is what starts to stir up the anger within us, right? But I think that doing the bottom brick exercise and different exercises like this, and we have more of those, by the way, doing this bottom brick exercise is interesting, because I think if we can understand that it's not about pointing the finger, we're not blaming anyone, we're not saying, "and you did this and this and this to me." And if we're not blaming anyone, if we're not pointing the finger, the anger starts to lessen. And also, I think that if we look at our parents as, or those people who have perpetrated these injustices, and we see them as just human beings with faults and failings, rather than "my dad did this to me," we can look at a dad and say, you know, there are so many reasons why he was like he was. All of a sudden, we start to understand. We start to understand where the injustice comes from. And I think that once we start to understand where the injustices come from, our anger begins to lessen. And so it sort of can come out of us. We take it out, we look at it, we examine it. And once we examine it, with a clear eye and with help perhaps from somebody else, we can see, hang on a minute, this is not what I thought it was, or this is different than I thought it was. And we get a whole new view of what happened to us. And we get a whole new view of how holding on to our anger and bitterness is destroying us. And really, is it worth it? Is it worth allowing other people and other people's actions, whether deliberate actions or whether inadvertent actions? Because a lot of the time people say things and they don't mean to hurt us, but boy, oh boy, does it hurt. So, when we start to understand that and we start to ask ourselves, hang on, what about me? Is my well-being, is my peace of mind, is my understanding of me, is it worth the risk of destroying all of that to hold on to anger? And I think the bottom brick tells us, no, it's not worth it. So it's a beginning of learning to think about things differently, and you wouldn't believe, or maybe you would, some of the changes in people that we see. Chris, I think you might want to have a comment about that as well. But we really can, doing the bottom brick exercise, it's one of the most positive exercises to help people to overcome their own fears and to overcome their own resentments and anger and their own sense of being less. And I think, when we feel less than and we allow other people to make us feel less than, that's when the anger starts to stir up. So the bottom brick is able to help us to say, hold on a minute, no, people can only do to me what I allow them to do, and I'm not allowing that anymore. So it's very positive.
Well, I know from my experiences, and I'll bring in like your evenings with Rosemary. So when you're able to do your live events, as well as these bottom bricks, it's similar. Let's just say it that way. What I get from it, what I really enjoy from it, is watching the person's face. Could be stone cold, could be, dark and angry and fearful. And by the time you're done with them, whether it was giving a message from a loved one or going through this bottom brick exercise, and you finally see the tears, knowing that their soul uh, has been recognized and connects, and people begin to understand, there's an absolute transformation in that person. You can viscerally see that person walk out, shoulders back, head high, joy in their face, lightened walk, softer voice, humility.
There's definitely we see changes. And by the way, as we're talking about the bottom brick exercise, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, you can go onto YouTube and find it, and Chris will tell you how to do that in a little while. But we have heard from Jen, of course, and who did the bottom brick exercise, who was brave enough to do the bottom brick exercise with us, and her comments were on the lines of, it's like someone's lifted a weight from my shoulders. So she's learning and beginning to understand. Of course, she's watched it a few times, because I think when somebody's talking to you, I think it's great to be able to go back and watch it again and again to sort of try to understand what's being said and to listen to it carefully. So she definitely feels that, I think she's overjoyed that she actually dared to do the bottom brick exercise. And any of you who are thinking, what are they talking about, the bottom brick, go to the website rosemaryaltea.com, and you'll see 2 or 3 examples of the bottom brick exercise. And if you feel brave enough to want to do this with us, you can do it with us non-publicly. And if you want to do that, certainly you can email us, Chris, K-R-I-S, at rosemaryaltea.com. Or if you want to do it publicly, do the same, email Chris. And, if we feel that we can help you, which I think 99.999% of the time, I'm pretty sure this exercise works. And it's a great exercise to do. And if you'd like to do that and you like to do it publicly, by all means, be a volunteer. If you want to join our bottom brickers, as we call them, we've got a club of bottom brickers. Everybody wants to be in the bottom brick club. So if you want to be a bottom bricker, email Chris and say, I want to be a bottom bricker, and she'll tell you exactly what you need to do. Okay, Chris, let's go for questions and comments, shall we?
Absolutely. Rhonda says, "You're a wonderful teacher and you tell it like it is. That's what I
Oh,
love about you."
oh dear. I know it didn't go down very well yesterday, I have to say. um, there's that phrase, Rhonda, thank you for commenting. There's that phrase being brutally honest. I am brutally honest, but I try, like the iron fist in the velvet glove. I do try to be gentle and I do try to be loving, but sometimes people just need that absolute honesty and they need for me to help them put their feet on the ground because they're high in the sky and daydreaming about all sorts of silly things that are getting them into trouble. So, so I know that, people love me for my honesty, but I think they also hate me for my honesty too sometimes. Even though no matter how gentle I try to be, boy, it can hurt sometimes, can't it? Chris.
Helen's asking, "Do you think it's possible that some people get their gift of the ability to speak to the spirit world later in life, or does it always start early on in one's life?"
Oh, no, 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 no. I think that I like this question. I think that uh, we can, all of us, no matter what our age, we can all of us, in one way or another, connect with the spirit world. And often, age and experience and tears and pain and heartache are the things that can open us up and make us much more aware and make us much more sensitive. So, I know I don't discount, oh gosh, why would I discount age? No, I mean, as I said earlier on, I'm going to keep doing this till I can't do this anymore. I look forward to my 100th birthday when I can give you all a message from Grey Eagle. How
That'd be
about that?
awesome. Anytime we get
Yeah,
a message from Grey Eagle is awesome.
it is, isn't it? Okay, keep going, Chris.
All right. Lorraine says, "I had a dream of my boyfriend from my teens long, long time ago. I've seen him in my dreams over the years, but recently, there he was looking like his dad as a 70-something-year-old. We smiled at each other. I was taken aback and didn't know what to say, so I walked on. I was told that he had said, 'I'll take her.' I wonder if he's in the spirit world now, wanting to connect."
Interesting. And it's very possible. I'd have to know more and talk to you more and talk to him more to say definitely. But yes, it's very possible. Chris.
Cheryl's saying, "I am interested in finding my mom's other girls from her first marriage." Florida says, "I'm not a direct relation to get adoption records. How can I proceed?"
Um, I have no idea. I would say it's one of those Google things. So you can Google. You might, if you had a conversation with a medium, with somebody like me, you might be able to find a way forward. But of course, we can never promise that. So, uh, that's another way to go. But I would start off by Googling how can I do this without being actually able to access the records. I think that you'll find. I mean, I've no idea how old these people are that you're searching for. There's a what was that show? There was a show, Chris, where you tell them who you are and what you are, and they search for you. They'll search out lost loved ones and so on and so forth. And that's another way to go. There are a few different ways to go, um, but
Yeah, I don't know the name
without
of that. But you've talked in the
no,
past, Rosemary, how you've given a consultation and let's call it gone like ancestry.com. You've gone back a
yeah,
generation or two to try to
yes,
find
absolutely.
people.
Yeah, and that is a way to go. However, I can't honestly say, Sharon, that if you came to see me, I mean, we could if that was what you came to see me for, then that would be what we would try to do. But there are no guarantees. I can't say yes, we can absolutely do that because, you know, remember, it's not about me being in control. It's about whether the spirit world are going to help us one way or another. But that is certainly a thought. It is certainly a way to go. Chris,
Yeah, and that was for Cheryl.
Cheryl,
Deidre's,
sorry, I said Sharon. Sorry, Cheryl.
I'm surprised you remember anybody's names, to be truthful. You're so much better at that than I am. Um, uh, let's see. Deidre's asking, um, have you
Hi,
ever met
Deirdre.
Caroline Mace? You're both so much alike.
Yes, no, no, I haven't. Um, no, I haven't actually. I know a little bit about her. I know that she's read my books, at least one of my books, because I had a communication from someone who's very close to her. But no, I haven't. No, I haven't met her. And I hope that's a compliment that you just were alike. So, okay. Keep going, Chris.
Barbara says, during my consultation, you told me my dawn would always be near and was waiting for me. You
Okay.
also said that our soul
Oh,
signs were
hold on.
incompatible.
Hold on just a second. You know when somebody says you know, Rosemary, you said I'm always ready to duck. Because I'm just saying I'm ready to duck. Okay, I said that your soul signs were on incompatible. Well, yes, go on.
So why would my husband's spirit choose to be with me again? By the way, I've ordered the book and it's on the way. So I think she's
Correct.
talking about soul signs.
I know exactly what she's talking about, and I remember exactly. Okay, here's the thing. There are different energies, and if you've read soul signs or about to read soul signs, you'll know what it is I'm talking about. Some of those energies are very, very compatible. For instance, earth and water. Water feeds earth. Earth needs water to feed it, and water needs earth to be able to channel through. So earth and water are very, very compatible. So if you're an earth sign, and for those of you who are interested, I am not talking astrology, but if you are an earth sign, your most compatible is a water sign and vice versa. Very, very compatible. Okay, if you are an air sign and a fire sign, very compatible. Fire needs air to thrive, and air needs fire to weave through and work through. So they are extremely compatible. Okay. Having said that, okay, we look at a fire sign, Barbara, I think, this is what we're talking about, and an earth sign. Well, earth can scorch fire pretty badly. Think about this in relationships, in terms of relationships. Fire can scorch earth pretty badly. Earth can put out that fire just like that, which makes them incompatible. Okay, however, okay, so we apply that into relationships and so on. And you can see it all the time with relationships where people are always fighting or where people are sort of compromising with each other. You can pretty much judge, their compatibility. That does not mean, however, that it can't work. And the only way it can work is if both those, let's say we're looking at fire and earth, if both of those people are willing to become more mature, to become more adult, to see what they do and where they go wrong, and to compensate and make compensations and make allowances. I'm going to bring up two of my lovely friends who are married. I don't know if he's watching, he often does. I'm not going to mention any names, but he is a fire sign, and very much so. She is an earth sign, very much so, but she is a middle energy. So she's much easier on him than I would be, because I'm an external energy. You got to read soul signs for this. Anyway, there are different reasons why things can work. So even if on the surface this is incompatible with this, if you are grown-ups and you work at it, then you can make it work. And those who make it work, despite the energies being incompatible, if you are a grown-up and you make it work, it means that you are much more mature, and you're able to work things out. And my two lovely friends, one who's the earth sign and one who's the fire sign, they make it work. It's not easy, but they make it work. And it's not just about the energy, it's about the love and the nurturing and the feelings that you have for each other. So read soul signs, that's all I'm saying. Right, Chris, move on.
Helen says, I feel like your childhood was similar to mine in some ways. And I feel that this childhood of mine has made me an empath. But it's always been hard for me to be assertive. And I can be a people pleaser too. Were you ever this way? Because it seems you are so strong and assertive now. If you used to be less assertive, what age did you kind of get your voice, or have you always had it?
uh, I was so the opposite of assertive. I think I mentioned this a few days ago on one of our shows. I was in a job when I was 15, 16 years old. I was in a job where I didn't speak to anyone unless I was spoken to directly. And I was so shy and so timid and so uncertain of myself, and definitely believed, as I'm sure you'll understand what I'm saying here, I believed that I was so much less than everybody else. I was made to feel less. I was always less. Um, I started finding my voice a little bit when I was sort of 18, 19 years old. I realized that if I didn't speak to people, they wouldn't speak to me. So I started being a little bit more outgoing, but I was still not assertive. And inside of me, I was still that quaking little creature. Um, but I fluctuated. I tried to be assertive, and then I would back off, and I let people walk all over me, I was afraid that I would be by myself, I would be on my own, so I put up with things that I shouldn't put up with, which is why all of these, these experiences, they help us, they make us stronger, but they give us wisdom. If we're willing to learn, they give us wisdom. And when I first realized, absolutely, totally realized that I could talk to dead people, that I could, nobody else could. And everybody thought, let me tell you, everybody thought I was wonderful. Everybody, oh gosh, she's amazing, she's wonderful. I would hear all these accolades, and I got to be such a big head. I was sort of, yes, I am. I'm really, wow, look at me. Because I was so used to being less, and now all of a sudden I was more, and boy, oh boy, did it go to my head. And wow. Uh, fortunately, not just for me, but for everybody else around me, fortunately, it was only a short period of time before Grey Eagle said, oh, enough of this. And he put me into a situation where he gave me a good taste of, let's say, humility. And I stopped being such a pain in the butt to everybody, and I started to understand the value of humility, and but then I became more and more confident as I grew. I actually said to Chris, I'm still, I hate going to strange places on my own, but I'll go in there and anybody will think, oh, I can talk to anybody. And I can talk to anybody. I mean, I have a lot of confidence now, but don't beat yourself up. because we all of us, even those of us like myself who seem so confident, and I am so confident in what I do and the work that I do, but we still have those moments of insecurity when, or, I'd like to go, but I don't think, no, it's not for me. I don't like to put myself in situations where I'm going to be uncomfortable for whatever reason. So don't beat yourself up about it. Just keep going and know that, as you get older, as you have more experiences, wisdom will come in and you'll be able to deal with those situations better.
I'm going to read a comment from Lorraine, but I'm going to give my own comment before I do. During your evenings with Rosemary, when you give a message to one person, people will find somewhere embedded in the message that that person received their own message, their own awareness, their own aha. And
Chris, is this you saying this?
This is me saying this.
Okay,
and now
right.
Lorraine's comment, back to the bottom bricker. I watched it Tuesday and it was therapeutic for me because I could relate to Jen, an abusive dad, a passive mom who did not come to my rescue, which I have buried anger, and I'm working on this and trying to handle my reactions with others. So even if you're not willing or wanting to go and be on the bottom brick exercise with Rosemary, by reviewing the bottom brick exercises that we've got on the website and on YouTube, you too might find, as Lorraine's saying, some therapy from it.
Well, I think that I mentioned it to Jen, and I mentioned it to all of those brave bottom brickers, because they are being brave, because they're bearing their soul out into the open, out into the public. They're putting themselves out there for anyone and everyone to see. So that's very brave. But what I say to them, if you watch the bottom brick shows, you'll see. I'll say to them every single time, you are inspiring others, so what has just been said shows that, them listening to someone going through an exercise like this, or even listening as somebody receives a message from the spirit world, the ripples go out. You throw a stone into a pond and you see the ripples on the surface and you see them going out. So you know that that one little tiny pebble has affected almost the entire pond. You see the ripples going out. We can see on the surface what that might do when someone like Jen goes, and does the bottom brick exercise. We can see the ripples going out. Here's what we don't see. When that pebble drops down into the pond, as it's going down, 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 the ripples are not just on the surface. The ripples are underneath the water and underneath and deeper and deeper. And when we do a bottom brick exercise, those ripples go deep within all of us who are listening and all of us who are watching. Those ripples affect us. Hopefully they inspire us. They create change in us, because the ripples are not just on the surface. The ripples are going deep, deep, deep down. And that's important, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to reach the hearts of people. We're trying to reach the souls of people. We're trying to make a difference, not just a surface difference. We're trying to make a deep and lasting and inspirational difference. If this person can have these issues and recover from them, perhaps so can I. And that's why we do these things. Chris, keep going. I know we're almost to time.
Yeah, we're just about at time, but it also reminds me, Rosemary, because we were talking about soul signs earlier. One of the things I've always taken away by understanding soul signs is a greater compassion and perhaps empathy in some cases, by understanding, even, as one of our people in the chat room said earlier, Barbara, yeah, we might have been incompatible, but in quote incompatible relationships, we can still teach each other and learn from each other, and
Right.
grow from those experiences from people who we're quote incompatible with. So understanding soul signs was one of the really eye-opening experiences for me to go, all right, I know they rub me the wrong way. I know it's tough in a working relationship with this person. Why? Okay, I get it now. I understand why. And then,
They just can't help it.
right. And then just it makes life so much easier that way.
Well, I think it also makes us much more tolerant of other people when we read soul signs. I just would like to point out, Barbara, and because your wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Dougie there uh, loves you so much. Even though your energies are incompatible on paper, they worked and you made it work. So even though your energies say incompatibility, because you were both loved each other so much, for all of the struggles, you were and are still very compatible, because you taught each other something, you gave each other something special through that the battle of that energy as it went on. So I don't want you to think of you as not being compatible, because within that incompatibility there's so much compatible understanding, knowledge, and above all, love. All right, that's it. I think we're done for today, Chris. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you to you because you do an awesome, awesome job. Thank you to everybody joining us today. It's been an interesting morning this morning. We should be back on, let me see, we should be back on Saturday morning uh, with a great story for you about perhaps how people perceive people like me. Uh, Interesting and funny stories. Might be a couple of them. Anyway, so that's Saturday, and of course you will also have a chance to comment and have questions and all that stuff as well. That is on Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, same time as this morning, and same place as this morning. We are also, I think, almost certain that we're planning an off the cuff, aren't we, Chris? On Friday.
Yes.
Friday night, everybody. So watch out for that. You'll see it pinging up on your devices. We're not quite sure what time yet. We didn't discuss the time, did we, Chris? But anyway, Friday night. It's not Saturday night at the movies. Friday night, and it's like come and have a night out with us. I might actually. I think I might decide to have a vodka tonic while we're doing that. So if you'd like to bring your drink along, you're invited to my house for off the cuff on Friday night. It won't be too late, I don't think. But anyway, we shall let you know. So just keep watching for us. We shall be there and we would love to invite you. Anyone is invited to my house. Come along, just join us because we have lots of fun. I'd also thank you all for joining us. I'd like especially to thank Grey Eagle, of course. And so until I see you all again, until we do this all again, and until we have this fun again, because it is fun, isn't it? Until I see you all again, please, 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 everybody, have a very, very blessed rest of the day. And if I don't see you, have a very blessed weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.